Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip,
And I'm CJ.
and it is Friday in the Riv before a Memorial Day. So it is a solemn holiday Monday, not just cookouts and stuff. So remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice in all, not only our wars, but serving abroad in hostile environments. So that's number one. And then also let's think about what happened to those two Israeli. One was a diplomat. One was actually, I believe, she had dual citizenship, but she's from Kansas. Uh, they were going to get engaged, and they were gunned down by another lunatic Democrat. Isn't it ironic that all we heard from Biden was the biggest threat to America is not Iran, not Russia, it's those radical right wing uh, MAGA people, and all the shootings now are by liberal Democrats, mental cases. And then they try to duck it. I saw the news media, CNN actually had a Jewish student. She said, well, they didn't shoot them. So, those demonstrations on campus did not contribute to that. And kudos to that student. She said, oh, you don't want to conflate that with the other one. He said, they're yelling intifada, kill the Jews. You don't think when a Jew gets killed that people yelling kill the Jews and intifada, is going to spur around lunatics? I mean, this country is out of control with these Democrats. And then the Democrats won't even, they don't even want to talk about it. They don't even, Ilhan Omar, I'm going, and, what do you think? Not even that shouldn't happen. I don't care if you support, if you are a commie who supports terrorist organizations like she is and hates America, but makes millions off being an American congresswoman. But you know something? At least have the decency to say, this is a terrible thing, because the way they were killed was not, they just weren't shot. They were executed. Because as the female victim was trying to crawl away, he walked over and pumped more rounds into her. And I truly hope he gets the death penalty.
We'll see. The federal government hasn't killed anyone in a long time.
Well, sounds to me like a good time to start.
I agree. But it gets to be strange. And you brought up a good point. It's the Democrats that have lost their mind. And when I see things like judges which turn around and stop the president from doing something because they don't think that it's right, I'm sorry. There's a separation of powers, and there's a reason why it's that way. That doesn't mean that these liberal judges can turn around and do what they want. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way.
Well, hopefully Congress will do something about it. But listen, it's because they have no party, they have no platform. Therefore, everything they were for, they've forgotten already. Transgenderism or wokeness, they're not talking about that. It's all now, let's hate Donald Trump, because they can't argue with success. The fact is that the people want their borders closed. They don't want crime in the streets. And that Massachusetts, of course, masshole judge, he wants to stop them from deporting pedophiles. Did you see the record on those pedophiles?
Yes, I did.
One of them was a murderer. The pedophile for two of them under the age of 12.
Well, did you hear about the Springfield senator who wants to take state taxpayer money and put it aside to create a legal fund for illegals that are being deported? Why should I have to pay for somebody who came into this country illegally?
Well, it sounds like a class action suit against the government if they ever pass that kind of law.
Well,
Because I can tell you one thing, you can, you're taxing me for enough bullshit.
That's
We all
right.
know how much these Democrats don't want to talk about it. And did you see, I think it was Rubio. It was Rubio, or was it the other guy? But did you see him rip Sheldon Whitehouse a new one? He's going to be crapping in a bathtub for the next 6 months after he gets done. No, it was what's his name? The guy that ran for governor of New York. He's Jewish. He was on one of the programs just being interviewed. But he's in the cabinet now. And I can't think of his name now. Jesus. Zeldin. Lee Zeldin. He ripped Sheldon Whitehouse a new one. Sheldon Whitehouse is saying, I want to see the list. He says, all right, I'm going to start reading the list. And then as soon as he started reading the list, Sheldon Whitehouse started saying, I want to see that. And he said, every time you ask me to give you examples, and I do, you people don't let me talk. You just start ranting and raving about something else. He said, you're the cause of this. He said, you wanted most of these programs. You voted for most of these programs. You benefited from most of your. Sheldon Whitehouse nearly had a stroke. I'm telling you, it was comical. It was really, really funny because these people are so full of crap. They created more waste and fraud. They've destroyed this country.
No question about it.
You got somebody from out of state travels to Washington to shoot somebody, and then he's yelling, "Free Palestine." The moron doesn't know that Palestine's been free since like 2005. They turned that over and let them be autonomous a long time ago. I mean, they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. They're imbeciles that listen to the Democratic propaganda, like that CNN host. Well, them yelling "kill the Jews" has got nothing to do with some nut killing Jews, right? I don't know. Maybe it's me. If you tell some nut that it's okay to kill people, and he goes out and kills people, tell me you're not an enabler. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just the way I think. I mean, if you tell me it's okay to do something and I do it, then you go, "Oh, you can't do that. It's against the law." Oh, wait a minute. Everybody's telling me it's good. I see thousands and thousands of these idiots that instead of getting a college education and getting brainwashed, get yelling intifada. They don't even know what the hell the word means.
I know.
They don't have any idea what it means. And it's a colloquial expression, an Arabic colloquial expression that's used in a particular context when they use it that way. And they have absolutely no freaking idea what they're saying. They have no idea. Just like they don't know from the river to the sea, half of them can't name the river or the sea. They couldn't pick out Palestine on a map, half of them. So, I mean, these people are it's getting out of control. I mean, that was reprehensible. What happened is reprehensible. And we have people in Congress who should not be in Congress because they truly hate the United States. They hate it. They hate the United States. Yeah.
And we see it every day by the votes. We see it every day by their comments. We see it every day by their appearance at demonstrations. We see it every day when they travel to foreign countries to visit gangbangers. This is what we have for representation. And let me tell you something. We're not going to do much better in Fall River because it's a silent election. There's five people running for mayor, 12 people running for city council, and 6 people running for school committee. Guess what? School committee is not even going to be, they don't have to be on the ballot. They're elected. That's it by default. There'll be no primary for the city council if with only 12 people. So we're going to get stuck with the same people. Thank you, people of Fall River, you freaking morons. And when it comes down to the 5 people running for mayor, we'll never get rid of Paul. Because the people of Fall River are too apathetic. Now's your time to run. Now's your time to show the people that we can rise up.
Well, it's a shame, but you get what you deserve. And if they don't want to run, they don't want to change the government. Well, this city will be Detroit, because the few people that are left that pay attention can't outvote the people who are politically connected. And we will get the government that this city deserves, a purely political, thuggish bunch of criminals like they had, like Sheldon Whitehouse giving his wife millions of dollars. They give away their money. They do everything. And people complain, but then they'll complain after the fact. But the reality is,
the sad part about it is these people don't realize your vote has been paid for one way or the other. You cast that ballot for Paul Coogan and you are corrupt. Your vote has been bought and paid for one way or the other, whether it's a new sidewalk, a pothole, a claim being paid off. It's a payoff. And that's why you vote for him. That's why Linda gets the vote she gets. She's paid off. She's getting paid off. All these people that have been paid off with Linda are paying her back.
Well, you're right. We don't know how many of these people are even going to take the time to go out and get signatures. And not only that, even if they do, the reality is I haven't seen a good campaign for city council or school committee or mayor in the last 8 years.
Right.
Because what are the 5 people running going to say? Vote for me because I'm not Paul Coogan. That's not telling you what you're going to do to fix the city.
And that's not enough.
And the thing is that, you look at this and you say, what the hell is going on? Paul Coogan ran on, I'm not Jason Correa.
Right.
And he got elected. So they think they don't have to run a campaign. Well, when we had the recall, we knocked on a lot of doors. We got people out to vote. And that's the only way they can get elected. These people pull papers, and then what they do is they go to the political times and shake hands, and nobody knows them after they left the table.
And not only that, at most of those political times, it's already your supporters. You don't even need to shake their hands. Yeah. That's not people coming to find out what
you're they go for a free meal at the other person's political time, and nobody knows their name after they left, unless they look. You gotta do the work. I'm sorry. Donald Trump did not win because he said, vote for me because I'm not Joe Biden. He said, vote for me because I'm for you. And he went out there to the people and took it to people where they said he should never go, like New York City, and into barbershops and into fast food restaurants, and talking to the people. He connected with the people and said, are you happy with the way this government is? He did the work. And he did it on a national level. He did more on a national level. I mean, it's a lot easier on a local level. All you got to do is knock on some doors and go to neighborhood meetings. Listen, I keep telling the story because it never gets old, because it's true, about how they got rid of John Long, a guy. A guy went and he said he was selling clothes at the clothing store on South Main Street.
Oh, your campus shop.
Yeah. And he knocked on every door in his district. At that time, the Flint was part of that district. He walked into my yard one day and said, I'm running against John Long. And John Long's been in there 30 years. He hasn't done anything. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And he did that, and he knocked on doors, and he went around not once but a couple times. And he worked his ass off, and he got elected. He unseated a 30-year incumbent. How did we prevail in a recall? We had a bunch of people that knocked on a lot of doors. We had a lot of people that stood in front of a lot of supermarkets and got signatures. We had a lot of people that were committed to change.
Day and night.
A lot, if you're looking at what we got, we probably had 20, 15, 20 who did it every day, but we had more than that showed up on weekends and for pickets. But we didn't have a hell of a lot of people, but they reached a lot of people.
No.
They reached a lot of people, and they got those people pissed off, and they got them to the polls. We had a bigger turnout on December 16th in the middle of the winter with nothing else on the ballot. Nothing else on the ballot to pull them in. And we had a larger election in all three elections Coogan ran in. Why?
Yeah. And you know, the worst part about it is we got people pissed off about things like purple bags, budgetary deficits. We went through those budgetary items. Paul's got all of those things. Water rates, sewer rates, increased taxes, poor maintenance, poor management, shitholes.
Scott just asked what happens when there are only 4 confirmed candidates. So
yeah, I saw that a few minutes ago. Well, if there's only 4, the school committee's screwed. Because there's nothing in our
chart. You can write. Look, you can also do a write-in ballot.
That's right.
Write in Donald Duck. If we can find Donald Duck, he'll be in the school committee, city council. He may be mayor. Matter of fact, write in CJ's name. CJ Ferry, write-in candidate. He might be on a school committee. Who knows?
Write in Chip Camara for mayor.
Yeah. Tax year 24, the building is valued at 70. Yes, this year.
$4 million.
Yeah, but are we? But how much of that assessment has been TIF'd?
Right. That's the big question, Nelson. How much?
Therein lies the question. How much of that has been shifted over to the taxpayers?
Actually, Louis, we found out that it's more than 70 million. It's actually 88 million.
Yeah, 88, yeah.
They got rid of the county ARPA money, which was left in the hands of the city council. And the city council had to approve it and then send it to the mayor for approval. Talk about a conflict.
No, you're right. No, Donald Duck would definitely be an improvement, Scott. It wouldn't be that. Wouldn't be an improvement. Definitely would be improvement because we got some real. Mr. Ed would be a better city councilor than most of the ones we got. And this is the apathy that takes over cities and turns them into Detroits and Baltimores. People just say everybody that can move out does move out. The people who can't move out because they can't afford to move out, because if they move out, they can't afford the expense of moving. They're on fixed incomes and stuff. They're trapped here for one reason or another. And they're screwed because now we're going to have, this is going to be a purely, we're going to have a government run by the same cabal for years now, for decades. Yeah, well, they are. They are crooks, but they don't care about people. They don't care about what's happening. And this is the problem in blue states. Didn't they just get Healy on all kinds of misappropriations of funds? The auditor just hammered her at the wall. She's a crook. She's probably the worst governor, and that's saying something in Massachusetts. Let me tell you something. When you say she's the worst governor in the history of the state of Massachusetts, arguably, that's saying something because we've had some caucus. We have had some caucus.
And I wouldn't even put him in a bottle of wine.
That's right. But But you look around what's happening here and all over the country, and you look at what's happening. You don't see this stuff happening in Florida. You don't see this stuff happening in red states, in South Dakota, and these other places. It's all the blue states. These people don't care about who they run over. They're all going to get rich, and that's why they get all upset when they're called on it. Just watch some of these things. I mean, that when Lee Zeldin took Sheldon Whitehouse apart, it was hysterical. I mean, he was like, he might have even made a boofer. He didn't know what that meant until somebody explained it to him one time. But it was comical the way some of these people, they're just getting ripped to shreds, because it's like, I see nothing, I hear nothing, I don't want to talk about anything. Somebody gets murdered in the streets, they're going to try to whitewash it. They're going to try to minimize it. It's like, well, there's no, this isn't, you can't conflate that with people yelling, kill Jews and Intifada. Well, no, you can't do that. It's not correlated. Yes, it is. You tell some of the nut jobs we got in this country that it's okay to kill these people. One of them is going to get the brainstorm that they're going to become a folk hero by doing that. Yeah, of course, we know that. That's why they're all here, Nelson. Developers don't care. They're multi-millionaires, and they get all the tax breaks, and they make a lot of money, in a lot of devious ways with these things. And then if they don't fly, they just declare bankruptcy. What?
El Grande Americano. Why does the mayor wear a necktie? To keep the foreskin from flopping over his head. Here we go, back to comedy.
Yeah, a little bit of comedy. Well, nobody ever received.
Nobody in Fall River
ever received that much money in this city.
Nope.
Even when we used to get federal revenue sharing, you remember that back in the dinosaur age? The federal government used to give out what they called federal revenue sharing. It was mostly directed toward public safety. And I remember one year, I think the most we ever got, they got $6.4 million. They gave $3.2 million to the fire department and $3.2 million to the police department to upgrade equipment, et cetera, et cetera. But we had the name. Nelson probably's got it. I'd have to look at my thing when we went over that when it was first being built. We had the developer's name, but Nelson may have it. I can't look it up now. I'd have to go up and go through my zillions of files over here because I got so much. I got stuff dating back to the Revolutionary War. CJ's reading something. Okay. But it's getting crazy.
Are being developed by Highjar Management Company based in Milton, Massachusetts. They secured funding to acquire and redevelop the former Notre Dame Grammar School into a 48-unit apartment building. The president of Highjar Management Company is Chuck Highjar. They secured $7.4 million from Rockland Trust for the acquisition and redevelopment of the former Notre Dame Grammar School. Does that help you?
Isn't that interesting? You see a lot of the same banks involved with all these communities, don't you? Like, I know that doesn't Fall River use Rockland Trust for their investments?
Yes.
Isn't that a coincidence?
And Bay Coast.
Yeah, well, Bay Coast for their insurance, I know that. But I know that when Bridget was talking about all the investments they were making now to bring money into the city, it was with Rockland Trust.
Right. It used to be Bank 5 that did all the big loans.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened there.
The right people run those other banks. Now they're in with the cabal.
Yeah. Too late, Nelson. I already said that.
Has ya?
So, but thank you, Nelson.
He's got a connection. Has ya?
Yep. Maybe it was Tom Corey, who then went to Paul Coogan.
Yeah, maybe. Cousin. Who knows? Yeah, it look, the city is failing. Well, he is capable of pulling his papers, so I mean, listen, this is the problem.
But remember, Joe Camara won't let him in the city council chamber because he knows what he's talking about. Although he was a little vulgar, which he legally can be. So
that's true. Yeah. And
of course he is. Everybody on the waterfront. They're all his friends and developers and bankers.
He's gonna get listen, he's gonna give a tip.
With paper.
He's gonna give a tip to the Taunton River.
Yeah.
You don't care. Anybody down there. Who's down on the waterfront? Let's look at who owns the waterfront. Huh? Lund, one of the boys.
Yep. Matter of fact, Lund did so well, he got his water bill wiped off.
That's right.
No corruption there.
Yeah, no corruption there. Yep. Yep. And when he first ran for city council in Fall River, he was living in Swansea. Remember that one? We still remember that.
And George, they should be paying prime property values, and they're going to be giving it away. They're going to be taking the first $100 to take 9 acres of land. You watch. Although Michael Ryberg said, we are going to get going market rate for that land. Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit now.
That's it. That call has been reviewed by the judges and said it is correct. Yeah, well, listen. You got to be you know what H-dip means? Huge dipshit. If you believe that is for the regular people, you're nuts.
You're right. Let's start the group step down Main Street.
No, Josh, if a bunch of people like you and the people who worked on the recall and people like Nelson and Colin Dyers and get on there and give Michelle some help, we can turn the city around. It's going to be a difficult thing. You're going to have to bite the bullet. We're going to find out how broke we are, and we're going to have to make some hard choices. But then we're going to have to actually let these rich a-holes that are getting all the bennies and suffering nothing while they're living like the rich and nauseous, they're gonna have to start paying their fair share. What do you think the Dems hate Trump so much for? It's like, hey, you're not the only one, to get money for your family. Sheldon Whitehouse gave his wife $2.7 million to consult for an organization that she developed to pick up trash on the Rhode Island beaches, and he gave that organization $8 million. So that's how they all get rich.
That's right.
It's a long one. Listen, that's political gobbledygook because we all know that TIFs don't work. Okay, we had We had two of the most prestigious universities in the United States do a 10-year study on TIFs and found out that in cities like Fall River, lower economically situated cities, they are actually have a negative impact.
That's right. And we've proven that.
And I think
over the past 20 years that we've been giving them out.
Listen, we've been giving out TIFs for 20 years. Look how good Fall River is now. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, that's because Mike Mioza wrote the charter, and this is what you get.
And remember, we opposed that charter.
That's right.
We told
you. We were vocal about that throughout the entire hearing process. Just like we were vocal about the debt exclusion through the entire process. But Paul kept promising, this is going to be gone in 8 years. What happened? We still got it.
And now look what happened with Diamond. We're getting it. We didn't even get the vote on it.
That's right.
They want us to vote if we want it. How much we're going to pay, how we're going to pay it. You didn't even give us a chance to determine if we want it. So this is the kind of state you get when nobody runs. You guys, listen. We need young blood in there. And we need we need people to get changed.
El Grande Americano says, what's the difference between politicians and thieves? Thieves, they steal your money and run. Politicians, they run and then steal your money.
Well, Chris Peckham, when he was on the TIF, what's it? They hold their meetings at AM. Yeah, well, that's it. Or they have a meeting and you have a bunch of bobbleheads because nobody runs to help out Colin or Michelle. And you end up with them never being able to get anything that's really in the benefit of the average person in Fall River through.
Well, they owe us over $6 million.
Yep. Yeah, and don't hold your breath, Lewis. When we're going to get that, they've only owed it to us, since the Wampanoags were running around over there. So it's like, this is when they still called when the Quikasham River was still one of the major arteries here. They were running their canoes down there, but the city is doomed to become Detroit. I mean, you get people. I mean, we've actually gone backwards. When you look at the caliber of mayors we're getting now we get a guy who's a lifetime political tick, a guy who never took a test for a job, always got a job politically. Even when he got a job, he didn't have to do the job. He didn't teach in a classroom. He was what was the name of that euphemistic title they gave him for? Glorified babysitter of the people who got thrown out. And then it's a family business, a whole bunch of people there or in one of the institutions that's connected to the city. Like, they sell insurance for one of the banks that's connected, or they sell this or they sell that. I mean, this goes back 40, 50 years. John Long started this. This regime that's in now was started by John Long Sr., who used to have a insurance place on Eastern Avenue down the bottom there at Pleasant Street. And he was in for 30 years. And now you see his family, Steve Long. Where's Steve now? He's got an appointed position. He had one before and a federal appointed. They always find places to land. And you look at them and wouldn't it be nice to get in a mayor who's got a set of balls on him and he turns around and he says, this is the list of the Coogan family. You're all terminated. Have a nice freaking life. That's what he should do. Well, the Warner Westport settlement, according to the Watuppa Water Board, they'll settle for 50 cents on the dollar. I wish they'd settle for 50 cents
on the dollar on my bill.
Yeah, well, maybe if we hold out for 10 years, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to put a lien on your house, take your house away from you. But when a neighboring community is getting a deal from us, we take 50 cents on a dollar.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's the freaking city council?
Right.
Where's the freaking city council?
And there's
Take them to court. You know what? Now you're pissing me off. I'm going to look up the average income in Westport now.
Wait, it gets even better. Gets even better. They're spending $35 million to extend the water line up Route 6.
Yeah.
$35 million to extend the water
Westport
line.
should pay for that.
To provide more water to Westport. Just like we do to Tiverton. I have a problem with this shit. This is our water. They're trying to make money off of our water, but they get screwed in the end because they don't pay their bills and we don't shut them off. I want a mayor who's going to come in and turn around and tell Westport, I want full payment in 30 days or I'm shutting you off. Are we clear? That's it, and shut them off.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Now I'm using what I always use, the United States Census Bureau stats. Remember what the figures are. I think at last show I did ours. I think the the household income in Fall River was $53,000 and change. Westport's household income is $100,000. That's nearly double. But they get to get their water for 50 cents on a dollar. Our median income per capita, ours is 31,000, his is 52. So it's,
about double.
Almost double.
Yeah.
And our poverty rate, I still remember that from the figures, I had to say 20.9%. So say 21%. The poverty level in Westport is 6%. That's nearly 15% lower than ours.
Right.
So they can't afford it. Council, don't make them pay their bill. Make us pay our bills. Make me pay my taxes. If I screwed you on my water bill, there'd be a lien on my house so fast my head'd spin.
That's right. El Grande Americano says, what do you call a politician?
They're richer than us. They don't have as many people living in poverty. They can afford it. But no, charge Fall River residents full price. As a matter of fact, don't even charge them full price. Charge them full price plus 5% whether they use water or not.
That's right. And if they use less, charge them more.
But nobody wants to run. Nobody wants. I'm too freaking old to run. I never wanted to run. I was too damn busy running unions and shit. But you know something? I'm getting so pissed off. I might be the first 100-year-old to run for office. I don't know. That's right.
You and Methuselah. You'll be all
right. Me and Methuselah. Yeah, but Methuselah stayed in office for 800 years after he got it.
Right.
Oh, God, we not only know history, we know the Bible, too. Okay. But, yeah, this is nuts. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, you look at Westport. Look it up. It's U.S. Census Bureau quick facts. I know that we have 36%. 36%. Wow, these things are staggering. Westport's really still swampy, Yankee. I'm looking at the ethnic origins. Let's see, population, housing. Fall River's owner-occupied housing was 36%. Westport's 84%. Not bad. So, I mean, yeah, give him a deal on water. Go ahead, council. Give him a deal on water. 50 cents on a dollar. I'm telling you, this is nuts. You see this stuff, it's crazy. I mean, you look at the surrounding communities, it's because of these communities that Fall River people can't get workforce housing. Because when you look at the geographical area and then make them double what we make, now when you look at the income requirements for workforce, they don't make enough to qualify. You have a minimum and a maximum you can make for workforce housing. And 90% of the people in Florida can't do it because look at our income. But, nobody pays attention. But these people are too busy trying to pay their bills. And it's a shame. Nobody wants to run for office. Everybody's it's just a giant malaise. I don't know. It's crazy. But, hey, Chris, I hope you get in. At least we'll have some fireworks. You and Michelle will at least maybe do something. But you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. You don't want, people don't want to run. They're gonna, and this is the worst administration for politics and corruption I've ever seen.
Yeah, Chris, I have not been able to. I can't get out of my house. I just got out of the hospital not that long ago after 4 months. Because I would have loved to have gone down to Dorothy Cox and signed the papers. You are the type of representation we need on the council. And I believe that you will definitely do what's best for the people of Fall River.
What really disturbs me? Where the hell is the Republican committee in this city? What the hell are they doing? They should have got a whole bunch of people who are conservatives, who are concerned to run for office. Trump took this city. Why didn't they target this city as a place to make inroads on a local governmental level? It just boggles my mind. I'm an independent, never a Republican, never a Democrat, except when
the GOP is useless, and the Democrats still can't get their head out of their ass after the loss. They don't understand what happened.
The Democrats in Massachusetts, they have their own agenda.
That's right.
Open borders, bring all the illegals back, stop the pedophiles from getting deported. Everything that the general public is against, they're for. And that's why they've you don't hear them talking about transgender. You don't hear them talking about DEI anymore. You don't hear them talking about any of their buzzwords anymore because they got obliterated on the issues. Now it's we hate Donald Trump, and all you people are just you're MAGA nuts. Well, they're the people shooting people in the streets, and their states are shitholes.
That's it. Can't do better. I'll tell you right now, Fall River can do better. But when you have candidates running for office in the middle of an election cycle, deciding that it's time to go on a vacation, I have to wonder how good of a candidate they would be if elected.
No, you're right.
You and I have told candidates before, don't plan a vacation. Put your family on hold. That's it. You don't have time for this. Don't have time for this. Well, I made this plan before. I got the Linda answer. I made this plan before from this candidate. I made this plan before, and I'm gonna keep it. I don't care. You obviously don't care. So when you're not elected, I don't want to hear it.
Listen, no. Yeah, well, I don't want to pay the price. Look, when you're in politics, you've got to pay the price. When you run, you got to pay the price. Listen, I saw that firsthand. Eddie Lambert, whether you like them or dislike them, we had a lot of wars with contracts and stuff.
Right.
But he was my next door neighbor. He grew up. His property was on the south side of my property, on a property line. The southwest side was where he grew up. The southeast side was where he had a house as a state rep. His father owned that property too. And I watched his wife be alone virtually all the time while he was out at a pub at functions all the time, because he knew that's what he had to do to stay where he was. And his wife was a wonderful woman.
Mary was an amazing woman.
I used to talk to her over the back fence all the time, and she was a great lady. And he was virtually never home. I'd be out in the yard with the dog and stuff like that, and the kids, and she'd be out there, and it was like by herself, and Eddie was off at some political time. But that's the dues you got to pay. You know, I mean, if you're running for office, you got to get out there and get your name out there and tell people what you're going to do for them. If you want to displace this, and you got to actually break this inertia, because we've got a malaise in this city that people just go, they're all going to get in again. Yeah, if you stay home and don't vote, you dipshit, they are going to get back in. So,
but it's not only get out and vote. Okay, we need people to get out and run. Yeah. Because if we have the same people running, we're going to get the same people back in office, regardless of how many people come out and vote.
Yeah. But you got to get out and campaign. If you're going to run, we've had 28 people running for city council, and none of them campaigned virtually.
I know.
It's like, what the hell? Why are you gonna put your name on a ballot and not try to tell people why they should vote for you? You got to put in the work.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but going to BCC and sitting on a panel with 8 or 9 other people answering one question of bullshit for a bullshit show that nobody watches. Nobody watches it. Understand that. Don't waste your time. Nobody watches it. I know. Believe me, I did a lot of work to get our show over at BCC watched. And we got people to watch us. But we had to do a lot of work to do that. And I can tell you about the viewership. At Christmas time, they have a call-in show. They're lucky if they get one phone call for Santa Claus from a kid. One phone call, if they're lucky. Maybe 2. It's a waste of money. Paul should have kept the $100,000. BCC is the only one that benefits from that studio. That's why they put money into it. BCC uses that access to live transmissions for things like the commencement that just happened, the graduation, and a lot of people like that. And then they can sell sell DVDs of the program. So would I, Chris. I would love to see an actual council debate. You never see one, though.
And if the debates are held at kangaroo debates, and if they're orchestrated, and then Coogan makes all the rules, and like I said, it's staggering to me that we've gotten, rather than improving and learning, we've got the worst mayor in the history of the city. We got a guy that was a professional malingerer, a professional tick his entire life. Now they gave him absolute power, and we know what that means. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And he couldn't make principles.
And they gave him the checkbook.
They gave him, all his friends got jobs.
That's right.
They're all getting massive pay raises.
They all got pay raises.
How broke the city is. Like I said, listen, give the people who are making $100,000 in Westport, let them pay 50 cents on a dollar for our water. Make us pay whether we use it or not. That was a while ago. You're way behind the curve, Nelson. That was
See what happens, Nelson, when you take time off?
I think his new arrivals in kindergarten already. No, I'm only kidding. I was just being facetious. But
Hey,
no,
El
that was
Grande
a while back.
Americano, I don't like doing this because it's almost like a personal attack. But the local Republican Party have guys like me that pleaded to be a Republican but wants government assistance. That's kind of like a personal attack. But if that's his belief, that's his belief.
Is that on YouTube?
Yeah, that's on the YouTube feed.
Okay, because I can't see it up here.
We never see the Fall River City Councils at public events. Memorial Day weekend, 7 of them will be MIA. I have a better chance of seeing Richard Urban this weekend. May he rest in peace. Richard was a wonderful guy. Richard was a wonderful guy. We did a lot of good work with Richard.
Yep, he did a lot of good work, and we were on his show quite a bit when we were.
Yep. We did a lot of good work with Richard too. So I'll tell you now, Richard was a great loss to this city. And you're right. Okay, I'll tell you who's going to be there this weekend. Linda Pereira and Andrew Raposo, maybe Ricky T. Okay, I don't think any others will be there. I may be wrong. I hope I am. I hope all 9 of them are there. But I've never seen Joe Camara show up for anything. Never.
Well, in a way, CJ.
No, Flanagan's not running.
I'm almost glad they don't show up because it shows that they don't care.
Right.
Because it pisses me off more when I know they showed up just because of politics. They wanted a photo op. They wanted to be recognized at that, and they have no consideration for, it was like when they marched in our processions when men died in the line of duty. I had 5 guys die in the line of duty when I was the president of the union in this city at fires. And 99% of them were there. They were there, right at the head of the procession. But when it came time to vote on minimum manpower, they wouldn't vote for it. When it came time to do the right thing, at the most critical things like manning apparatus, they were never there. And it was always a 5-4 or something like that. There'd always be a swing vote, and it would be one of them that marched in a procession. So something, it's disingenuous at best. So I don't give a shit. They don't care. Memorial Day means something to people who understand what Memorial Day signifies, and especially veterans. And my fellow veterans, I know we all will be looking at this weekend as a lot more than hamburgers and hot dogs and maybe a steak.
That's it.
On the grill. So that's the key. The key is it's a day that we have to remember the people who made the ultimate sacrifice.
No question about it.
All gave some, but some gave all. And we also have to remember on Memorial Day those people who were traumatically injured in combat too.
That's right.
That are still alive, but not living the life that they could have lived. And it's something that you always have to remember. Probably one of the most emotional pictures I ever saw was a guy. I don't know if you knew Ernie Imbo. He had the leather shop downtown for a little while. He was a DI at Fort Dix and stuff, and military guy. I know him very well. And he had a picture in his shop of a guy at a parade, watching a parade, and the American flag went by, and he was saluting. And he had his grandchild with him, I guess, a little small child. He was older. And the thing about that picture that made it so emotional was he was saluting with his hook. He had lost his hand, and he had an artificial leg. So there was a man who lost body parts for his country, standing, saluting his flag. that he gave so much for. That's the people you respect, not these shit bums.
That's it. Thank you, Nelson. I appreciate that. It'll never happen, but thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, they'll recognize us as the biggest pains in the asses they ever saw. So.
That's right. Yes, we have 15 plus years. And we're not playing games. Yeah, there you go. I'd hit him with it.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, and as for Flanagan running, Flanagan's got a contract with the movie company right now. He's playing a wise guy in an upcoming movie in production now. So we may not even see him pretty soon. He may leave Fall River and move to Hollywood. Be the smartest movie ever made, but you never know. You never know. Well, I want to thank you for watching. We will be on the air on Monday, 5 o'clock. And enjoy your long weekend. If you have a cookout, please have a hot dog or two for me. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. It's going to still be chilly. Bye-bye.